Good afternoon, welcome, family, friends, former cadets, current cadets, and especially former cadets of Colonel Wright. We are pleased that you guys could come out today. And cadets, you'll notice the former cadets of Colonel Wright are around here. So if you guys could just wave, we appreciate you being out here. Thanks. We owe a lot to you because you started our program off. So thanks for being out here today as we give thanks and recognize a great American in Colonel Wright. I'm Colonel Steve Schinkel, the current aerospace science instructor here at Cooper. We're gathered here today to honor the service of Colonel Wright. Colonel Wright passed away on 16 March. He was 85 years old. It's an honor and privilege to speak about Colonel Wright today. Colonel Wright retired from active duty on 1 January 1976 after 28 years of selfless service to this great country. He was an outstanding Air Force leader, a warrior, a man of strong faith and vision. He was a devoted husband, father, and grandfather. During his Air Force career, Colonel Wright commanded at the flight, squadron, and group levels. He flew more than 200 hours in combat missions in 2 different wars, Korea and Vietnam. He led the Air Force fighter response to the North Korean capture of the USS Pueblo. Colonel Wright also has a distinction of being a Top Gun pilot. That is the best of the best in the F-105 Thunderchief. He's also flown the T-6, the T-28, the L-20, the C-45, the F-51, T-33, F-80, F-84, F-102, F-105, the B-47, the B-58, and B-52, and KC-135 aircraft. His flying time totals more than 12,000 hours. One of the aircraft that Colonel Wright flew in the Vietnam War is the F-105, the Yellow Rose of Texas, which is on display at Dyess Air Force Base. Colonel Wright is a decorated combat veteran. He earned the Legion of Merit, the Distinguished Flying Cross, 13 air medals, and 17 other medals and awards. These are just a few of his distinguished career highlights. Upon retiring from the United States Air Force, Colonel Wright started the Cooper High School Junior ROTC program in 1979. He taught high school students about patriotism, citizenship, and leadership. He helped cadets become better versions of themselves, and he did this for 17 years. Under his command, the Texas 794th was selected as his honor unit. How many times, Sergeant, did we find out? A lot. A lot. More than 8. He was recognized as an outstanding instructor and teacher by the governor of the state of Texas. I had the pleasure to meet Colonel Wright shortly after taking over the program from Colonel Mike Kenny. These were the first things he said to me. He said, first, who are you? And that was after I introduced myself to him. Some of you are shaking your head. What are you doing with my program? And at this point, I still didn't know who he was. And how are the cadets? And he went on to tell me his story about how he started the program here at Cooper. And we were fortunate to have him come back a few times to come visit us with the same questions he would ask me. What are you doing with my program? And how are the cadets? And he was right on with that. He was Colonel Wright. Loved Junior ROTC. He was proud of this program. He was proud of this detachment. And he was correct in saying, what are you doing with my program? Because he's the one that got it started for us. We come here today to give a thanks to Colonel Wright and to let him know that his contributions to this great country and his contributions to Cooper High School are not forgotten. He is truly a great American and a hero. Today I'm going to close my comments with the poem High Flight by John Gillespie. Oh, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in sunlight silence. Hovering there, I chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the wind-swept heights with easy grace, where never lark or eagle flew, and while with silent lifting mind I have trod the high untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God. I'd like to take a few moments now if we just remain in silence to honor Colonel Wright's service to his country and those veterans that have gone before us. Cadet Colonel King, please begin the retreat.
And retreat! I am the Air Force Junior ROTC Cadet. I am the faithful servant for cadets to serve in the education system. I urge respect for that hold core rights protected for a service for self-defense and self-view. I will always commit myself to the courage of my family, school, or cadets to myself. My character defies me on how lives she is received. I am accountable for actions she needs to hold us accountable for actions as well. I serve with those who are formally those who act. I am a patriot, leader, and leader of all serving. I am Air Force Junior ROTC today. Dismiss!
Gather around. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome. It is tribute to Colonel Wright. Out here it is F-105. Welcome family, friends, and of course Colonel Wright's former students. I'm glad you guys are out here. And, I'm Colonel Steve Schinkel. I'm the current instructor at Cooper High School in the ROTC program, the one that you guys got started when Colonel Wright set the motion. And it's a privilege for me today to speak on behalf of Colonel Wright. Colonel Wright passed away on 16 March of this year. He was 85 years old. Colonel Wright retired from active duty on 1 January 1976 after 28 years of selfless service to this great country. He was an outstanding Air Force leader, a warrior, and a man of strong faith and vision. He was a devoted husband, father, and grandfather. During his Air Force career, Colonel Wright commanded at the flight, the squadron, and the group levels. He flew more than 200 combined hours in 2 different wars for our country. He flew in the Korean War and the Vietnam War. He led the Air Force fighter response to the North Korean capture of the USS Pueblo. Colonel Wright was also a Top Gun pilot in this aircraft, the F-105, which was a very tough thing to do and a great thing. He has also flown the following aircraft: the T-6, the T-28, the L-20, the C-45, the F-51, the T-33, F-80, F-84, F-102, and F-105. Transitioned into bombers and flew the B-47, the B-58, the B-52, and then the KC-135 tanker aircraft. He has more than 12,000 flying hours. An incredible accomplishment. As a matter of fact, one of the aircraft he flew, the Yellow Rose of Texas behind us here, a tribute to Colonel Wright. He is a decorated war veteran. He earned the Legion of Merit, the Distinguished Flying Cross, and 13 air medals. These are just a few of his highlights of a great and distinguished career. After retiring from the United States Air Force, Colonel Wright started the Cooper High School Junior ROTC program in 1979. I think we have some 79 people with us here today. He taught students about patriotism and leadership, citizenship, and having faith in their country. He helped cadets become better versions of themselves, and he did that for 17 years. Under his command, the Texas 794th was selected as an honor unit 9 times and a meritorious unit at least 3 times. Colonel Wright was also recognized as an outstanding instructor and teacher by the governor of the state of Texas. I'd like to take a few moments now. We can just pause for a moment of silence. Or would you like to say anything before we go further about Colonel Wright?
Yes.
Okay. Before we go, moment of silence, then I have a poem I'd like to read. It's very special.
Some of y'all know me, some not so well, but I was 14 years old when I met Colonel Wright in 1979, and I needed a lot of guidance. I was a pretty unsquared away child, and Colonel Wright gave me the opportunity to join the ROTC program that he was building, and that became a very serious part of my life. I had a tremendous amount of respect, and still do, for Colonel Wright. And I just wanted to share one little anecdote with y'all. When the summer between my junior and senior year, I joined the United States Marine Corps delayed entry. And I came in and I was really excited to tell Chief Swinson and Colonel Wright that I had decided to take the plunge and go Marine Corps. And Colonel Wright told me to my face, "You'll never make it." And that whole senior year, we were at odds. Every time I turned around, we were button heads. So much so that when I finally graduated from boot camp and I was able to come home on leave, I showed up at the school in my Marine uniform just so I could show him that he was wrong, dead wrong about me. And when he saw me, he put a big smile on his face, he stuck out his hand, and when I came to shake his hand, he pulled me into a hug and he said, "I never doubted you." He said, "I know that you needed something so that you wouldn't doubt yourself." He saw things in me that I never did. And because of him and the Texas 794th, which was my home for 4 years, I learned about duty, honor, and courage. And I was able to learn that from honest-to-God American heroes. And so I just have to say, Colonel Wright, rest in peace, Godspeed.
Amen. Anybody else would like to share any thoughts or
will.
experiences, Chief? Yes, sir.
I was with John Wright from 1989 until, I guess he quit, say 1997. Very similar with you. He found out that I was a professor of the Catholic faith, and he lit into me immediately. And you know, I kidded with him and told him, I said, "We'll meet later in hell," and I said, "I'll be in charge of you then, and then I'm going to rag your can until you die." And, you know, and he just kind of laughed about it, but he believed in God very firmly, and he believed in America. He did not want to say something bad about America, because if you did, I'm going to share a story with you that probably none of you know about. For years, John Wright got a picture every year of a horse with his tail in the air, and there was a horse's butt. He got that every year until he retired. I will tell you who it was. Do any of you remember Leland Robinson? Mr. Robinson, who was he taught, I call it shop, it wasn't shop, it was agriculture. He was the one that did it. And Colonel Wright drove me nuts because he knew that I knew who it was. And I kept telling him, I don't know anything about it. And he showed me the picture. He said, "I've been getting this picture for 15 years and I need to know it." So long after he retired and he came back many years later, I told him who it was. And he said, "You knew the whole time, didn't you?" I said, "Well, of course I did. They introduced me to you and that was their picture they showed me." And oh, he as you guys know, you knew him better than I did probably for a while, but he got all over me. He called me some names that my mother didn't call him. But I'm sorry, it was fun. It was one of the greatest things I ever did on John Wright. The only thing I ever got up on him. And when the day he died, I felt so bad because the only thing I could think about was the poor guy went all those years, didn't know who it was. And I hope before he passed, he found out, because I never told him. I was sworn to secrecy. So somebody did get the best of it. And I don't mean this ugly, so please don't. I thought it was kind of neat having one up on him. That's the only time I ever got one up on him in my life.
No one ever got one up on him.
No, he was always ahead of me. He always had. So John Wright was quite a guy, though. Quite a man.
Well, one of the things for us, I mean, especially if you can see, I mean, 79 and it's still going.
that he's created a sense of family for all of us.
Yes.
I know it was a good experience for me in high school because at the time I was one of the few football players that was in ROTC. But I'd heard about Colonel Wright way before I got there because my sister was also in ROTC. And so I'd always heard about how good of people that he and Chief Swinson were. And they definitely lived up to the bill that my sister put forth. And really, I'm closer to a lot of my ROTC family, a lot of guys I played football with. And that was definitely Colonel Wright's influence. Like a dad to a lot of us. And one of the best men I've ever met in my life.
Let me introduce to you the current family, the folks that have gone in your footsteps and the trails that you guys have set out to do. And to my right is my superintendent, my Sergeant Rondales. He knew Colonel Wright because Colonel Wright used to come visit us. And I told this story the other day. First time that he met me, I'd only been in the job for a few months, I think, when he first came by. And he walks into the office and he says, "Who